Hi, it's Steve. Today we'd like to show you how to change the front leveling wheel on your refrigerator. It's a really easy repair. Let me show you how we do it. Now, to do this repair, we will need full access to both sides and the rear of the refrigerator. So we need to pull it far enough forward that we can access the back of it. You'll also want to disconnect the power because we will be working near some electrical circuits. So our first step will be to position the refrigerator so that we have access to both the front and the rear. Once you have it in the proper position, our next step will be to open up that fresh food door, and we'll remove the kick plate on the bottom. Simply lift up on the bottom and pull it away. That'll release the spring clips that hold that kick plate in place. We'll set that aside. Next, we're going to lower the two front wheels with these adjusting screws. They're typically a 3/8 hex head bolt. So lower those down as low as they'll go. Now our next step will be to prop up that refrigerator so that we have room to pull these subframe out from underneath of it. So we'll close the refrigerator door up. But typically what we want to do is raise this refrigerator up about 2 inches off of the floor. And we'll need to support it on some blocks. And the blocks are only going to sit under the edge of the cabinet, not under the subframe. So just reaching underneath, and you feel how much of that cabinet is there. And typically about 3/4 of an inch of a block will fit in underneath the cabinet and not come in contact with that subframe. So you need somebody to help you with this. We'll tilt one side over, position a block, do the same on the opposite side. And then we'll do the same on the opposite side. Now that we have the refrigerator firmly on blocks on both sides, make sure it's good and stable. We'll go to the back of the refrigerator now, remove the cardboard access panel, and then the two mounting bolts that secure that subframe to the cabinet. Now that we have access to the back of the refrigerator, our next step will be to remove this cardboard back panel. So simply remove all the retaining screws. They're typically a 1/4 inch hex head screw. Now, normally there will be a little fold over portion on that back panel that tucks up into this frame. So you need to pull that out as well. And then we're just going to set that aside. Now our next step will be to remove these 2 1/2-inch hex head bolts that secure the base frame of this refrigerator to the cabinet. Now we won't want to remove those bolts until we have the refrigerator in a position where we can access both the front and the back at the same time. So be sure to position it properly, and then we'll remove those 2 bolts. Now next we'll go to the front of the refrigerator and remove the bolts that secure the front portion of that subframe. Now that we have the rear bolts removed, our next step will be to remove the front ones. Now we'll go back to the back side of that refrigerator and we'll carefully pull back that subframe so that we can access these front rollers. Now our next step will be to remove the pin that secures that wheel assembly to that subframe. So we're just going to reach in through that oval opening behind the kick panel, locate the end of that pin. We'll just push it a little bit towards the outside of the cabinet, and then we can grasp it from the outside and remove it. We slide the old wheel out and discard it. We'll push the new one into place. We then need to reinstall that pivot pin. Make sure it's pushed firmly all the way through. Now we're ready to take the front of that subframe, grasp it from the front, pull it up until we can hook it onto the cross member at the bottom of the cabinet. So next we're going to pull that subframe forward and sit it on top of the lip at the bottom of this cross member. So reaching underneath, lift up on it till you can grasp the top lip of it. Pull it all the way forward. You should see where the retaining bolts are going to attach. So we'll install both of those. And tighten both securely. And then we'll go to the back and lift it up into place and reattach it there as well. Now that we're at the back of the refrigerator, we'll want to lift up each side individually until we can line up the mounting bolt holes. Then we'll tighten those securely. We'll move our spacer block. And since we're at the back of the refrigerator, we'll go ahead and put that back panel on. Now, when installing that back panel, we want to make sure that we put that folded portion up underneath that rear channel. Slide it into position and then install the retaining screws. And now we'll go to the front of the refrigerator. So our next step will be to remove the support blocks that we used. So have somebody help you remove those. Then carefully sit it back down onto your floor. So next we're going to push it back into position. We'll reconnect the power and then we'll get ready to level it up. So again, we'll open up that fresh food door. Make sure our drain pan stayed in place. Then we'll adjust those front rollers again. Make sure that it's level. Now, once we have it properly leveled, we'll reinstall our kick plate. We find this easier to do if you engage the top clips first and then simply press in on the bottom. Now, once we have the refrigerator closed up, your repair is complete.